What's up you guys, I'm Dan, this is Frugal Not Cheap, and in this week's video we'll review the Citi Strata Elite. It's been a while since we talked about Citi. I did talk about them a little bit in my premium banking services private client video. I did go over kind of the different kinds of relationships that you can have with Citi and what they offer, and actually some of it looked pretty interesting if you were in New York, for instance. And I do of course have their double cash card. One Citi card that did get a bunch of buzz some time ago was the custom cash card. This allowed you to get 5% back on a particular category, whatever your highest spending category was, but only up to $500. But what people have been doing is to get multiple of these custom cash cards in order to really maximize that 5% cash back. Now, since then, of course, Citi has tightened that up, and I don't think it's quite possible to have more than one custom cash card anymore. However, Citi does seem to be making a recent splash with the Citi Strata Elite card. YouTubers out there that post about this kind of content exclusively have already covered it, so there's some good content out there, but I'll just give you my personal take on it. So this is a premium travel card. I put it up there against the Capital One Venture X, Chase Sapphire Reserve, American Express Platinum, Bank of America Elite, and then unfortunately the now not open for new applications US Bank Altitude Reserve. Anyway, it's in that tier. So of course, being in that tier, what we're looking at is a $595 annual fee, and the big question is, of course, are we going to be able to get value out of that? In other words, in order to at least offset that, if not gain some positive value as well. As always, I've made a spreadsheet for this. It's called Citi Strata Elite. You just click on the resources link in the video description, and it'll take you to folder where I've got all the different resources that I've put together over the years. So let's go over the credits, because those are always a lot of fun. And a lot of these, by the way, I just want to say they're pretty easy to use, so I'm pretty excited about them in a way. So the first one is an annual hotel benefit. This is as long as you book something for 2 nights or more using the cititravel.com travel portal. But that's $300 a year. And if you travel and you're not like me, where I generally don't use hotels very much, I think it'd be pretty easy to get that $300 value, especially considering that the hotels that are available aren't just some select really expensive set of hotels. There's a whole range of them that could suit whatever your travel needs might be. Now, while I don't normally have to book hotels when I'm traveling, because I'm usually staying with family or friends or whatever, I have been taking some more trips with my family, and generally I do the booking, so it is feasible that I might end up booking the hotels and being able to get this credit. But in any case, I think it's really easy to value this one at 100% or $300, and that means that we have just another $295 to make up for in credits and also on cash back. Next, you've got what they call the annual Splurge. This is $200 for a number of partners, including First Dibs, which I'd never heard of, American Airlines, Best Buy, Future Personal Training, and Live Nation. There are some restrictions with the American Airlines one, so I don't know, but that might be a decent one for a lot of people. The one that's probably universally going to be usable is going to be the Best Buy credit. That's $200, and so there you're left with an effective annual fee of $95 at that point. However, I'm living in Thailand, kind of a weird thing, so it's actually worth $0 for me because we don't have Best Buy out here. But I have put 2 tabs on there, one that's kind of like my situation and one that's more for normal people, so I think this credit's usually going to be worth it for people. Next, we've got a $200 annual credit for Black Lane, which is kind of like a fancy Uber, I guess. Unfortunately, they're doing what American Express does and what Chase does, which is one thing that I really don't like when it comes to these, and that is splitting up the credit into 2 tranches. So you get $100 in half the year and then another $100 in the second half of the year. But generally, I'm not going to be using Black Lane. I don't know that the experience would be that much worth it to me over getting like an Uber Black or something like that. And so this is probably going to be worth $0 for me. Then we've got a Priority Pass membership valued at about $350. As usual, I value this at 50 cents on the dollar. So that's another $175. And now we're in positive territory, assuming that you've got a Best Buy around you and you value that fully. Then we get 4 passes per year for the American Airlines Airlines Club Lounge. Never been to these, and they're really not going to do me much good out here in Thailand, but your mileage may vary. You may be able to get some value out of that. They say that sort of the sticker value is $300, and that's basically how much you have to pay if you were to show up and, pay out of pocket for 4 times. Then we've got Global Entry, which comes out to $20 a year, but I value that again at 50 cents on the dollar. So that's another $10. That gives us a total face value of these credits of $1,370. So if you valued all of these credits fully, then this card would be really, really worth it. However, in my situation, the credits are worth about $485, which is still pretty good at eating into that $595 annual fee. We can, of course, make up for the rest of the annual fee with the points, because of course we do earn some points with our spend. My particular spend is pretty low at $6,480. Of course, these numbers will change. Just input your spend on the spreadsheet and you can calculate how the numbers work out for you. So the highest multiplier is for hotels, car rentals, and attractions that are booked on Citi's travel portal. Again, I might spend, $500 on hotels, let's say, and that would earn me $60 worth of points. Air travel, unfortunately, where a lot more of my spend would come in, you only get a 6x multiplier, or 6%. Spending $1,500, that means I get $90 back. Then we've got restaurants, and it's interesting, they're kind of split into 2 categories. You've got what's called Citi Nights, which are on Friday and Saturday after 6 p.m. up to 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then they give you kind of a bump on the multiplier. And then anytime outside of that, then you get a lower cashback value. So during that Citi Nights time, you get 6% back. I estimate I might spend some $300 during those times. So that would be an additional $18. And I'd spend the other $300 of my $600 restaurant budget outside of those times, which would earn 3%, and that's just $9. Finally, you get 1.5% back on everything else, which is okay, but not quite as good as the Venture X at 2%, for instance. In any case, with $3,880 of spend, that's going to earn me another $58.20 in points, and so in total, I'm earning another $235 in points. That is going to put us into positive territory, giving me a total net value of $125, given my personal discount factors. However, I do think that most people would be able to get more value out of this, especially those that are stateside. Let's value those American Airlines Club Lounge passes at 15%, and then the Best Buy at 100%, and now we're at $370 in the black. So already this, I think, is quite a solid travel card. You've got your lounge access through Priority Pass, you've also got additional lounge access with American Airlines. You're more than making up for all the annual fee as long as you have some decent spend on the card, and then also as long as you're booking a hotel or buying some stuff from Best Buy once a year. And then the other part that's really great is that this part of the video is relatively short because there aren't that many different credits. It's not this giant coupon book that you've got to manage and look at all the different things. So I think that's really quite good. What could make this card even better for you is if you are a Citi Gold client. So if you have at least $200,000 in assets, combined sort of total assets amongst various different accounts that are eligible with Citi, then you can become a Citi Gold client, and this would actually knock down the annual fee of the card by another $145. That means we have a $450 annual fee, and even for my weird self out here in Bangkok, then I would put the card at a positive value of $270 at that stage. So I would say this is definitely a tempting proposition, especially if I am a Citi Gold client, which again is especially attractive if you're, say, in New York. You can check out my private banking video for more on that. If I were still stateside, would I switch to this card and move some assets over to Citi? Well, I think it would be relatively tempting. However, I can still get similar or better value with the Capital One Duo, and that maintains a lot of simplicity. There's even less stuff, less credits and whatnot to have to track with that system, and so that remains my preferred system. But I would say that this would be kind of my next runner-up. I think this is a really, really attractive option, and that Citi did a great job with this card. What are your thoughts about the card? Let us know in the comments below. Hope you found today's video helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.